When one thinks of iconic Grand Prix circuits, names like Silverstone, Monza, Spa-Francorchamps and Paul Ricard come to mind. I'm going to add a fifth, and that is Kyalami. Anyone who followed Formula One in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and 90s knows just what a fan favorite, commentator favorite and driver favorite Kyalami was. Today we have the pleasure of being invited to 60 years of Porsche at Kyalami. When one thinks of Porsche and this circuit, there are so many stories. We're going to chat to Toby, Denis Klopper and the legendary commentator Roger McCleery. Are we excited? I've said it before, you knew the answer before I asked. When you hear the name Toby Venter, what comes to mind? For me, it's very easy. Ultra successful businessman, very generous individual, the importer of Porsche, Bentley, Lamborghini into South Africa, and Toby, dare I say it, the cherry on top, the owner of the Grand Prix Circuit, the international Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. Tell me about this incredible venue.
Oh, what a wonderful story. You know, in 2014, when we heard Kyalami was going to go out for auction, we all thought that we'd lose it forever. It had fallen into disrepair. And I said to my team at Porsche, I said, you know, perhaps we should just try and save Kyalami.
That's incredible. Now you say save it because you truly did. And I want to interject and say, in America, they celebrate the 4th of July. In South Africa, we should celebrate the 24th of July, 2014. You may not remember the date, but I do. That was the day the auction took place and you won the bid.
We did. No, thank you for that. We do celebrate the 24th of July, 2014, because once we actually won the bid, and I wasn't even at the auction, I was in the Western Cape doing a press launch, a Porsche press launch, and all the press were with. And eventually I was bidding against myself, and my CFO said, stop bidding, you actually got it. We couldn't believe it because we thought all the property developers would actually buy it. But when we got it, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this is a huge responsibility. First, we've got to find the money to pay for it. And secondly, we've got to find the money to bring it back to its former glory. And that's what we did.
So Toby, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on one thing you said. You said you brought it back to its former glory. I'm going to say you've taken it to a level that it never was. Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit was always an exceptional circuit, a fan favorite, commentator favorite, driver favorite, but the facilities itself, even in the heyday, in the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, you cannot say were absolute state of the art. Today, you walk around, this is on a different level. A little bit of money's gone into this.
Absolutely, a lot of money, time and effort and passion. And as I said, the Kyalami team's done a superb job. We are very much involved on a daily basis with the running of Kyalami. But yes, times have changed. You know, what was state of the art 50 years ago is not state of the art anymore. And we had to make Kyalami world class, which it is. Thank you for acknowledging that. And yes, you know, we're constantly pushing the boundary. We want to bring it up to Formula One standards. We're currently grade 2. We want to take it to grade 1. And then, you know, God willing, hopefully one day we will see a Grand Prix back at Kyalami.
So I was going to say, anybody watching this is thinking, Mike, when are you going to ask the $1 million question? Now, you spoke about a grade 2 circuit. If you take the incredible circuit in the UK, Brands Hatch, well known, that is a grade 2 circuit. There's not a huge difference between what is needed to upgrade from grade 2 to grade 1. Could you share with us a little bit about that?
We actually have an approved FIA, which is the governing body of motorsport safety in the world and organizes motorsport in the world. We have an approved plan by the FIA to take Kyalami to grade 1. Now, the track itself doesn't change. It's just runoffs, curbs, extra barriers, and bits and pieces.
And then, for example, spectator areas, do you need extra spectator areas?
There's two different distinctions between what the FIA would grade 1 safety standards and then what Formula One would require for actual grandstands for spectators. So we would need additional grandstands for sure.
Lovely. So to Gayton McKenzie, the GNU, to Motorsport, the FIA, please make it possible. I don't think there's a South African that would not love to see the dream come true. 2027, 2028, would that be a realistic expectation?
There is a window for 27, but the Formula One guys want guarantees from the government, so hopefully that'll happen. And Formula One will kickstart reignite South Africa's economy and put South Africa back where it should be on the world stage.
Yeah. Now, I can't give the financial guarantees, but I'll give you the following guarantee. It will be an incredible event. Toby, you spoke about a team. Everybody thinks of Toby Fenter, the incredible businessman, and Kyalami, but there is a team behind you. To you and your team, may you go from strength to strength, and may the circuit continue to flourish.
Thank you so much.
If it comes to motorsport in South Africa, there's one name that is indelibly etched in everybody's psyche and memory, and that is Roger McCleery. Recently celebrated your 90th, and today we're celebrating 60 years of Porsche at Kyalami.
Yeah.
So 2/3 of your life, Porsche and Kyalami have been around.
I have been at Kyalami for 40 years. I can't believe it, you know, getting involved
course.
on the early days of sports car club. So we've seen the whole circuit go. And when you went overseas, Mike, people would say, are you from South Africa? Do you know Kyalami?
Kyalami, yeah.
They all know Kyalami. And I mean, that's what Toby's made perfect. I mean, the circuit is perfect. Whether we can afford a Grand Prix without money, I'm not sure, because you need big bucks now.
So you need some good government support,
Big
and to
time.
the South African government, get behind motorsport South Africa. Roger, you've traveled all over the world, and you made a comment. If I go to Britain, Silverstone, Brands Hatch, Italy, Monza, Imola, but South Africa is indelibly etched in people's memories, Kyalami. What is it about the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit for you?
It was the involvement we had. The people, the drivers used to love
Yes.
coming here from the early days because of the friendliness and there's no nonsense with
Of course.
it. You can walk around the pits, talk to the driver. I remember sitting talking to Jack Brabham, funny enough, on the old circuit, on the pit counter. I said, Jack, what's your favourite circuit? He said, Kyalami. And the next one, Belgium, and then Monaco. And that was Jack Brabham. And then Graham Hill. I remember saying, I mean, you don't realise what you've got here.
Correct.
Because you go overseas anywhere, if I come from South Africa, they say, oh, do you go to Kyalami? So it's been that well known, it's better known than South Africa. And the racing that we put on, the 9 hours, we were part of the world scene.
But now think about that. You talk about absolute legends of motorsport. Jack Brabham, 3-time world champion, 1959, 1960 and 1966. The legend that is Graham Hill, the only winner of the Triple Crown, 62 and 68 world champion, that they rate this country and this circuit. What is your favorite event that stands out about Kyalami? Any memories?
Well, I don't know if it's a good memory, but the car caught a light at Crowthorne. And Mike Hailwood, I was big buddies with Mike Hailwood.
Right.
I mean, he was a motorcyclist of note. And he, when got out of his car, he was racing cars.
Lucky to get out.
And pulled him out. And then he got back to the pits, and the wife, Pauline, they used to say with Paddy Drive. Pauline says, what was going on there, Mike? Because he also got burnt, they rolled him on the ground. And he got back, he said, don't worry, Pauline, let's go, we're going back to Paddy Drive, is where they stayed. Next morning in Sunday Times, there was a story. She said, why aren't you telling me, Mike? He was that type of guy.
Incredible.
And I remember saying to the guy down at Crowthorne, we used to be Springbok Tower.
Right. Is that what it was called, Springbok Tower?
That's what we called it in those days. Then they had Crowthorne and Westbank. Westbank. And we wouldn't allow them to talk unless you said Crowthorne, because they say Crowthorne and you know something went on. And they said Crowthorne, and then came up that story. But the one thing I do remember, we had a commentator, I can't quite remember, he was a drummer in a band. And we had to warm up, like you said, right, 20 minutes before the Grand Prix, get the crowd warmed up to tell them who they're on, what to watch and practice and all that. And the commentator said, Crowthorne. And I said, come in, Crowthorne. And he said, look, I just want to tell you, there's a message to Fred Labuschagne, one of our commentators.
Yeah.
Could he get down to the gate immediately? His mother's there with his sandwiches. That was
No way.
Before the Grand Prix.
His mother's there with his sandwiches.
Before a Formula One World Championship. We had no time. It was great. We didn't have the great speaker system. I don't have it. It cost you a lot to go around.
The speaker system in those days at Kyalami, I imagine, was like at a drive-in. Remember those cheap speakers that used to blare? But Roger, I'm going to say something. My greatest memory of Kyalami is 15th of October 1983. My all-time hero, 3-time world champion Nelson Piquet. You won your second title here. So if you want to know how fortunate I am, think about this. I'm at the legendary circuit, speaking to the legendary commentator,
you don't
and
have
looking
to
forward to 26 and 27. Roger,
Okay.
to many, many
I
more
saw you,
years
Mike.
of good health.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mike.
Life is all about making memories. I love motorsport. Today I have the pleasure of speaking to Denis Klopper, SA Motorsport Memories. 2025, your first time ever at Kyalami, am I correct? Or am I out by a few years?
1969,
Incredible.
first time at Kyalami, and
For the 1969 South African Grand Prix,
yes, which was won by.
three-time world champion Jackie Stewart, 69, 71 and 73. What was it like seeing these absolute legends and idols?
It changed my life. You know, my uncle brought me here on that day, and it changed my life.
And dare I ask how old you were in 1969?
I was 6 and a bit, maybe 7.
So a real youngster.
Correct, and changed my life. And I never missed a race from that day.
So you've seen every South African Grand Prix?
I'm talking about every race, every single race. We got every single race program, collected them all, and it became an obsession.
Right. So now every Grand Prix is a standout, but is there any South African Grand Prix for you? 1969 the first, anyone beyond that stands out?
71 when Andretti won in the Ferrari for me was very special. The sound of the cars, and it was an amazing experience.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Mario Andretti made his debut at that race in Formula One, and he won on debut.
Correct. Well, he won it was his Ferrari debut, and he
Right.
won on his Ferrari debut. Correct.
That is
100%
incredible. The absolute legend, American Mario Andretti, born in Italy, 1978 Formula One world champion. Did you speak to anybody as a matter of interest about Mario? He may not be considered the greatest Formula One driver of all time, but he's considered by many to be the greatest driver of all time.
He did Le Mans, NASCAR, he did the IndyCar, he did the whole lot.
If it could drive, he's done it.
Correct. So
And then from there on,
75 was incredible. When Jody won home Grand Prix, we used to sit at Crowthorne, we camped for the weekend, we used to cycle on our bikes. Jody Scheckter winning was a defining moment.
and now your debut, you were 6 years old. Now you're a 15-year-old young man. You're looking at it totally differently.
Correct.
Thinking about a future in motorsport, possibly.
Well, not in drive. I never had a vision to race.
Right.
I had a vision to get involved.
So you were a realist, like me.
Correct. And I had a lot of heroes. Arnold Schatz was a hero in those days as well. You know, special people that today I have as friends, which is
Now, when you
amazing.
talk about heroes, 2 weeks ago I had the pleasure of interviewing Arnold Schatz, and what was his famous saying? Just call me Arnold.
Correct. And then 79, when Jody won the championship, obviously the
But
Grand
Gilles
Prix
Villeneuve won the race,
won
am I
the
correct?
race. It was an incredible race.
1-2?
Yes, 1-2. The beginning of the race was a huge race between the Renault and the two Ferraris. The race was stopped because of the rain. The Ferraris had different strategies.
Now, for those who follow Formula One carefully, at the time, Ferrari was a flat 12 engine, normally aspirated. Renault were pioneering turbocharged, and at high altitude, there was a massive advantage. What, 60, 70 horsepower the torque
Well,
was?
the biggest advantage for the Renault was down the straight. So
Of course,
through the twisty bits, the Ferraris got ahead.
correct.
And by the time they hit Crowthorne, the Renault was out in front. So it was an amazing race to watch. And obviously, Joe, we were all cheering for Jody.
You've been to every Grand Prix at the circuit. I'm going to put you on the spot. Early 80s, what was one standout event that Kyalami became famous for? Not Kyalami itself, but what happened at Kyalami at the Grand Prix.
Well, there was the driver's strike.
1982, and I used to follow Formula One so closely. Niki Lauda's first Grand Prix back, and they said he comes back and he comes straight into a strike. So we spoke about the memories of coming here as a spectator, running the circuit, present, but today itself, very special day, celebrating a few years of Kyalami memories with Porsche. 60 years?
Correct, yes. We did the Kyalami 60-year book, which I think you have a copy of.
I do.
Signed by Farouk.
Farouk Dangoor, absolute legend and personal friend.
Absolute gentleman. And then I said to Toby, we should do a book on 60 years of Porsche. They won the first race at the circuit, they won the last race at the whole circuit, and there's this whole history. And obviously there's a connection.
Of course.
So we set about 2 years ago working on that, and today's the culmination. The book has taken long. I'm new in this business, believe it or not. and probably longer than it should have. But we do things properly with the books. We put a lot of effort into it. But for us, it's about preserving the history and creating memories. And you won't believe the calls I get from people in tears talking about what came back to mind by looking at pictures and reading the stories. And the pictures tell a story. A picture's worth 1,000 words, I think is the saying. And our aim is to preserve the history, really. And if you want to get a book on the history of Lamar, you can find many. Indianapolis, Silverstone. But when you want to get a book on the history of local motorsport, they're more difficult to find. So we're really focusing on preserving that rich South African history so people not only can enjoy it and remember it, but the future generations can remember it.
So on your screen right now, you'll see this incredible book. It's a couple of 100 pages, am I correct?
300, and it was supposed to be 280, then to 380. So.
He came close to target. However, when you are covering so much, you're going to add extra 100 pages. This is not going to be available in a bookstore, am I correct? How do I get a hold of one?
Directly from us. And the reason we do that as well is that we want to keep contact with everyone.
Nice.
A book that gets sold in a bookstore, you don't know who's buying it.
So this is personalized.
So, and that's important for us. And I learned a lot from Toby Venter in personalization and the importance of making someone feel important by giving them a special print or a special number. So we try and keep all the books special and personalized. And it's a one-on-one transaction. We have the website. My email address is freely available. People can contact us. The books are available through the Porsche stores.
Right.
So if you go to any of the 4 Porsche centers, you can purchase the book.
Incredible store in each facility. If you're looking for incredible clothing as well, got to visit.
Absolutely. It's a terrible place to go because you spend money.
For sure.
The book will be probably one of the less expensive items in the shops.
And what are we looking at for a book? Just under 4,000 rand?
So the standard edition is 2,000.
2,000?
2,200. And the collector's edition, which we don't have too many left are 3,750. Those are signed by myself, by Toby Venter. We have some special prints. They're in a slipcase.
Beautiful.
And they're all numbered. So they're limited to 100 editions. So a lot of work goes into it, but it's worth it.
So to Denis, to you and your team, I'm sure everybody will agree, wishing you the very best. Memories never stop being made. To many, many more.
Thank you, and thank you for your support in what you do. It also adds to the whole equation, so thank you very much.
Thank you, we're humbled.
Porsche, an incredible brand. Kyalami, the iconic circuit. And together you have 60 years of Porsche racing at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. This is a must-add to any collection.